Hey, welcome! Today, we're going on a little myth-busting adventure. We're going to take a look at some of those facts we've all heard a million times. You know, about our health, about nature, even about the money in our wallets. And you'll see that the truth, well, it's often way more interesting than the fiction. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with a classic, creepy-crawly fact that I'm sure has made you sleep with your mouth shut tight a few times. You know the one, that on average, you swallow 8 spiders every single year while you're sleeping. Sounds pretty terrifying, right?
Well, you can breathe easy because it's complete and utter nonsense. I mean, think about it from the spider's point of view. Your mouth is basically this warm, wet, vibrating cave that's sending out tremors with every single breath and heartbeat. It's a spider's worst nightmare, not some cozy little Airbnb. So relax, you are not a spider hotel.
All right, now that we've cleared that up, let's dive into our first section. We're going to tackle some of those myths we run into in our daily lives. You know, the sayings and beliefs that we've all just kind of accepted as true without a second thought.
I mean, come on, you've heard this 1,000 times from your parents, your teachers, probably every health blog on the internet. This phrase is treated like the absolute golden rule of wellness. But is it actually based on science? Yeah, not so much. This golden rule didn't come from some groundbreaking medical study. It was a marketing slogan. Back in the late 1800s, John Harvey Kellogg, yep, that Kellogg, the cornflakes guy, started pushing this idea to sell more cereal. The reality is, what science tells us today is that your overall diet and lifestyle matter way more than the exact time you eat your first meal.
All right, here's another one you've definitely heard every winter. Put a hat on, you lose most of your body heat through your head. Turns out, that's not quite right. Look, your head is only about 10% of your body's surface area. Heat just escapes from whatever part of your skin is exposed. Simple as that.
So where did we even get this idea? Well, it came from a pretty flawed military experiment back in the 1950s. Researchers put soldiers in Arctic survival suits, but without any hats. And surprise, surprise, they lost a ton of heat through their heads. Why? Because it was the only part of their body left exposed. You lose heat from any part of you that's uncovered. So a hat definitely helps, but so do gloves, and a scarf, and, a coat.
Okay, let's move on from our daily lives and head out into the great outdoors to unpack some of the most popular and totally wrong beliefs we have about the animal kingdom.
We all have this image of a camel's hump as this giant, sloshing water tank, right? A personal reservoir for trekking through the desert. Nope, not even close. That hump can store up to 80 pounds of fat. It's a massive energy reserve for when food gets scarce. Think of it as a portable pantry, not a water bottle.
And what about chameleons? We think of them as these masters of disguise, changing their color to just vanish into the background. But their color changing is less about hiding and more about shouting. It's how they communicate their mood, if they're feeling aggressive or trying to attract a mate. They also do it to regulate their body temperature. It's really more of a mood ring than an invisibility cloak.
Another childhood classic, the promise of a vegetable-fueled superpower. We were all told that munching on carrots would give us the night vision of a superhero. The real story behind this one is actually way cooler. During World War II, the British Royal Air Force had just developed this new, top-secret radar technology that let their pilots spot enemy planes at night. So to keep it a secret, what did they do? They started a huge public campaign claiming their pilots were so good because they ate a ton of carrots. And the propaganda worked so well, we're still telling our kids the same thing today.
Okay, so we've busted myths about our bodies and the world around us. Now, let's get to the myths that might be having the biggest impact on our lives, the ones we believe about money.
So when you deposit money in a bank, it's easy to picture it just sitting there, tucked away in some big, secure vault, just waiting for you. It feels safe. It feels sound. It feels stationary. But that's not how banks work. Not at all.
In reality, your bank is way more of a matchmaker than it is a storage unit. See, when you deposit your money, the bank doesn't just lock it up. It's only required to keep a tiny little fraction of it on hand. And the rest of it? It gets immediately loaned out to someone else, someone who wants to buy a car or a house or start a business. This whole system is called fractional reserve banking, and it's the engine that's constantly powering our entire economy.
And you know what the fuel for that engine is? Interest. But here's the thing about interest. It has two totally different faces. When you're in debt, compound interest is your absolute worst enemy. It can turn a small mistake into a raging financial fire. But when you invest, it becomes your best employee, one that works 24/7, never complains, and turns your small contributions into serious wealth over time.
So this all brings us to a much, much deeper question, one that really challenges the foundation of our entire financial world. What even is money? Is it even real?
Here's the wild truth. Money isn't inherently valuable. I mean, a dollar bill is just a piece of paper with some ink on it. Its value comes entirely from our collective belief in it. It's a shared story, a social agreement that lets us all trade and build. And that shared belief, it's the exact same principle that gives value to everything from gold to cryptocurrencies. The only reason it's worth anything is because we all agree it is.
So, as we start to wrap this up, let's tie it all together. We've seen that so many things we just accept as fact, from spiders in our sleep to money in the bank, are really just shared beliefs. And this brings us to the final, and most important, ideas that are also shaped by our beliefs: value and time.
You see, just like the dollar in your wallet, value itself is a social construct. Something is valuable, whether it's a piece of art, a company's stock, or a bar of gold, simply because we as a group perceive it to be. This shared perception is like the invisible operating system running our entire world.
So if money and value are really just ideas we all agree on, what's the most tangible, most valuable asset you actually have? It's not money. It's time. Time is the one non-renewable resource you've got. It's the silent engine behind that compound growth we were talking about, the force that turns small, consistent efforts into life-changing results. Like they say, wealth isn't built in days, it's built in decades.
And this brings us right to our final thought. We've just seen that these massive, widely held beliefs about everything from biology to banking can be completely off base. So that leads to a much bigger question, doesn't it? What other facts in our lives are just myths we've never bothered to really examine?
And that really is the whole point. The goal isn't just to walk away with a new set of fun facts. It's to adopt a mindset of curiosity, of critical thinking. So my question for you is, what long-held belief or piece of common wisdom will you decide to question next?